This week on ANN, in honor of World Intellectual Property Day, learn how your local ministry can avoid copyright infringement.
An international team helps the Adventist Church in Japan launch an evangelistic campaign with the creation of more than 100 videos.
And leaders celebrate the growth of Adventism in the Eastern African nation of Ethiopia.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
Chances are if you work with your church's communication or media team, you've been part of a project that involves putting together images, music, and videos.
And it's probably tempting to just use Google, Facebook, or even YouTube to search for and download content that you need, especially if you're in a hurry.
Yeah, but just because something is easily accessible and downloadable doesn't mean it's okay to put in your projects.
Well, in honor of Tuesday's World Intellectual Property Day, we're dedicating some time to explain proper ways of handling copywritten works.
Associate General Counsel for the Seventh-day Adventist World Church, Jennifer Woods, has more.
This week, we celebrate World Intellectual Property Day. Copyright is one type of intellectual property that many of us encounter every day. Copyright describes the rights that creators have over their literary and artistic works. Works covered by copyright range from books, music, paintings, sculpture, and films to computer programs, databases, and architectural works. A copyright lasts for a fixed period of time, and once a copyright expires, the work enters the public domain, meaning anyone can then use the work. During the life of a copyright, the copyright owner has the following rights to their works: the right to reproduce their work, such as in printed publications or by creating sound recordings of their work; the right to distribute copies of their work; the right to publicly perform and broadcast their work; and the right to make adaptations of their work, such as turning a book or manuscript into a movie or making translations. The copyright owner has the right to either grant permission or prevent others from using their work in any of the ways mentioned above. And copyright infringement occurs when someone other than the copyright owner uses a work without permission. Copyright infringement can carry a number of penalties ranging from monetary damages to prison terms. So be sure that you have permission before using someone else's images, videos, music, or any other copyrighted work. One common misperception people have is that if they find material on the internet, such as photos, songs, articles, or videos, that the material is in the public domain. However, just because something is available on the internet, it does not mean that it is not protected by copyright. So if you find material online that you want to use, be sure to get permission from the copyright holder before you use it. Remember, it is important to respect and protect intellectual property rights of others. To learn more about copyrights or other forms of intellectual property, visit the following site, www.wipo.int. Thank you.
A media production team consisting of 25 international members recently concluded a historic project that will help launch an extensive evangelistic strategy in Japan. Communication professionals and volunteers from more than 6 countries participated in the 3-week Project Hope Japan.
The project was organized by Hope Channel Japan, which aims to create content to help people connect with Bible study courses. The team surpassed their production goal by filming footage for 130 videos.
Hope Channel Japan's director, Norihiko Hanada, praised God for the results. He said, through this project, we were able to experience God's hand working in Japan's media evangelism by making the impossible possible.
Project Hope Japan was created to help the Adventist Church in the territory grow its membership to 20,000 by the year 2020. The Seventh-day Adventist Church in Japan currently has 15,000 members.
The church is also planning to conduct more than 100 simultaneous evangelistic sites in May of 2018.
Adventist leaders, members, and government officials recently celebrated the expansion of the church's presence in Ethiopia.
The celebration took place within the southern and western regions in the nation.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church's East Central Africa Territory sent this report.
The Adventist Church in Ethiopia recently celebrated its growing membership with the inauguration of 2 brand new fields, along with the reorganization of the South Ethiopia field. The West Ethiopia field gave birth to the West Central Ethiopia field, while the South Ethiopia field simultaneously gave birth to the South Central Ethiopia field, which also officially opened a brand new field office complex. The 3-day celebration, which took place in 3 locations across the nation, was marked by singing, dancing, and the presence of government officials along with the 3 executive officers from the East Central Africa Division of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Pastor Blasius Ruguri, ECD President, said, "We are so excited to see how God is moving in the country of Ethiopia. The incredible growth and organization of these new fields is a demonstration and testimony of the faithfulness of our church members and their incredible commitment to evangelism and total member involvement." The division president was accompanied by Elder Elaine Korali, ECD Executive Secretary, and Elder Jerome Habimana, ECD Treasurer. The 3 leaders were overjoyed to see the excitement in the people as they officially organized the new territories and reorganized fields and prayerfully dedicated the regions for mission. Residents of the cities where the new fields were organized thronged the streets together with pathfinders, church members, and civic leaders to welcome the establishment of the new Adventist Church's field headquarters in their region.
An Adventist entrepreneur from Papua New Guinea was recently recognized for her contributions to the Commonwealth of Nations, or the Commonwealth.
Jacqueline Joseph was recently named the winner of the 2017 Commonwealth Youth Awards for excellence in development work for the South Pacific region. This is the 2nd consecutive year an Adventist has been awarded with the distinction.
Joseph is the CEO and co-founder of Equal Playing Field that uses sports to help end gender-based violence in the nation. It is estimated that 2/3 of women in Papua New Guinea experience domestic violence.
The annual Commonwealth Youth Awards are presented to young people who address development challenges in the world, including poverty, unemployment, climate change, violent extremism, and the lack of accessible education.
The award also aims to raise the profile and highlight the contribution young people make to achieving the sustainable development goals of the Commonwealth.
As part of her grand prize, she was flown to London to receive her award during a special ceremony. She also had a chance to meet Prince Charles of Wales.
Since 2011, Joseph has created educational programs for more than 3,000 youth in the nation's capital and beyond. When speaking about the Adventist Church, she said, "We are well positioned through our education and health systems, and I hope we can lead even more discussions about healthy relationships and preventing and addressing gender inequalities in our communities."
A talk show produced by the Adventist Media Center in Sydney, Australia, invited Jacqueline to share more about her organization.
The Table sent this report.
And in changing that, what you're doing is Equal Playing Field, which is trying to promote gender equality through sport. How does that work?
Correct. Well, firstly, Equal Playing Field is founded on the belief that violence against women is preventable and that open and honest discussions about respectful relationships and gender equality during adolescence have the power to change attitudes that allow violence against women to occur. In Equal Playing Field, we've got a main program, which is called the Equal Playing Field for Schools program. It's an 8-week program that we run in schools, and we mainly work in government schools. So in the 8 weeks, we would enter a school and we would spend 1 hour, 45 minutes with school students. We target age range of between 12 to 15-year-old boys and girls. And a typical day for our schools program would look like we visit the kids, and for an hour session, we go through a respectful relationship topic. So it could be a topic on setting boundaries, where we ask the kids, can you see a boundary on a sporting field? And the kids will immediately say, yes, the white lines are there. How about in a relationship? And the kids immediately start nodding their heads and go, no, I cannot see a boundary. And that's where we come in to say that these are different ways that you can communicate what your boundaries are. These are different ways that you can tell another person that these are your boundaries. So really, a lot of these topics are helping young people to realize in relationship what is good, what is bad. Also at the same time, letting them know that they've got support networks, that there's always people around that they can get help from. It could be their teacher, it could be a pastor, or it could be a policeman or policewoman. So I think the real core of Equal Playing Field is really trying to get young people to kind of challenge some of the social norms that allow violence against women to occur, especially for the young boys, really challenging the views of masculinity that society kind of portrays for them. So this is changing them to say that, you know, masculinity can be in a way that respects women and girls.
Still to come, remote villagers within Papua New Guinea receive Adventist healthcare for the first time.
But after the break, the Adventist Church in Mongolia takes a bold step to empower its youth.
Welcome back.
Leaders celebrated the momentum of youth involvement and the future they represent for the church in Mongolia with the inauguration of a training center.
Yeah, the median age in the nation is 27.9, which is also mirrored in the church. This fact is what prompted the creation of the training center.
Adventism in the nation is fairly new. The first Adventist baptism in Mongolia took place in 1993. Today, the church has 2,000 members.
As the church's aims to grow its membership through various outreach efforts, it created resources to empower its youth for service.
The center is located near the church's headquarters in the nation. It has a gym, seminar rooms, and a large dining room that can accommodate 200 individuals. It also has guest rooms and a 2-story building with 32 small personal prayer rooms.
The inauguration ceremony was attended by 140 members, pastors, and special guests.
After the ceremony, the facilities were immediately put to use for a 5-day conference for lay members.
The center will also serve as the location for camp meetings and training sessions for the region's Global Mission Pioneers program.
Villagers of 2 remote atolls of Papua New Guinea, or ring-striped coral reefs that encircle a lagoon, became first-time recipients of Adventist health care.
The Atoifi Adventist Medical Team operated a small health clinic for Anton Java Atoll, which has a population of 2,000, and Nukumanu Atoll, which has a population of approximately 700 people.
The locations were selected due to the substantial need, since neither areas have a clinic or medical professionals. Medical workers were able to save 3 children from succumbing to severe diarrhea and pneumonia. They also treated a 25-year-old who was struggling with the effects of high blood pressure.
You know, villagers say pneumonia is one of the top killers of children in the region.
The team also led out devotional programs and health awareness seminars in addition to medical services. The Atofi team was highly praised by the chiefs of both regions. They were also asked to conduct similar services in the near future.
An innovative series about exploring nature through the lenses of 3 female explorers is set to return in October.
That's right. Season 2 of Animal Encounters will bring Costa Rica to your home with compelling narratives and spell-binding scenery. The series will tell stories of people who tend to and help protect God's creation.
Here's a sneak peek of Season 2.
I can't wait to see them again. It's been a few years since we've traveled together. It will be so much fun to talk and catch up, and to travel together again.
In this trip, I was so touched to see how cruel some human beings can be toward so many animals. And yet, I met so many good people that are willing to save the animals' lives.
Nature is so important to me. We need to learn to enjoy beautiful moments and be thankful, because those are like beautiful, special, handmade gifts from God to us.
After all the research that has been done, there's still so much we don't know. So much yet to be discovered. It tells me something about the greatness of the Creator God, the diversity, all the animals unique in their own way, very creative, very special.
Animal Encounters is produced by Adventist Review's ARTV. It is available on demand on Apple TV, Roku, Samsung Smart TV, Amazon Fire, and Google Chromecast.
Visit facebook.com/Animal Encounters TV for news and updates from the show.
Season 2 will be available on ARTV and Hope Channel on October the 20th.
And finally, for the news this week, the church's Indo-American territory concluded its massive Pathfinder Camporee earlier this month that drew nearly 13,000 people.
Participants traveled from the territory's 24 regions for the 5-day Lineage of Champions Camporee.
The Pathfinders marched, worshiped, attended classes and leadership training, and participated in swim meets, musical presentations, and Bible Bowl competitions.
The church's Inter-American Territory sent this special report from the Camporee's final day.
Coming up, find out what happened this week in Adventist history.
But up next, learn about the massacre orchestrated by Pope Innocent, the third of a faithful Bible-bearing movement in France.
May I work in with you, young fella?
Yeah. Go for it.
That's the way you do it. Got to put a little weight on it. But I'll put it back up here for you.
Welcome back.
Historians say if this group hadn't suffered brutal persecution, the Protestant Reformation would have started in France in the 13th century rather than in Germany in the 16th century.
This week's episode of Lineage is called The Albigensian Massacre.
You can always visit lineagejourney.com to learn more about this captivating series from youth of the church's Northern England territory.
Whilst the Waldensians lived on the Italian side of the Alps, a group with similar faith lived on the French side, stretching across southern France from the Alps in the east to the Pyrenees in the west. They had the Bible in their own language, and they were a freedom-loving, industrious, and prosperous people. They were known as the Albigensians, and like other groups scattered around Europe, they remained true to God's word and resisted attempts to come under the banner of Rome. Some historians note that had this movement been allowed to grow unhindered, that the Reformation would have started in the 13th century and not the 16th, and the base of it would have been in southern France and not Germany. In the early 13th century, Pope Innocent III was reigning, though he was anything but innocent. He surveyed the landscape of Europe at the time and determined that these groups, however small, needed to be exterminated in order to preserve the church. He issued an edict that authorized the killing of all such believers. A crusade was launched that became immensely popular with the warriors from northern France, as they no longer had to travel all the way to Palestine, but right here in their own country, they could attain all the same benefits. They were told that by killing, they would wash away their sins, that they were entitled to the property of those whom they killed, and that when they died, they would immediately go to heaven. All of this was promised in return for just 40 days of service. One can only imagine the type of people who made up the armies that came down here to southern France. Year after year, from 1209 to 1229, for 20 years, this crusade was waged against the Albigensians by Pope Innocent III. During the first season, the Crusaders attacked and conquered the city of Toulouse. They then made their way south in July of 1209 to the city of Béziers. As the forces were gathering around the city in large numbers, the men made a rush to attack them before they had a chance to fortify the camp. It was in vain though, and the assault was repelled. As they hurried back to the city, the Crusaders mingled with the citizens and made their way into the city before they had a chance to close the gates. There was now a problem. What would they do? There were Catholic Crusaders in the city alongside the Albigensians. Upon consulting the papal legate, the reply was given: kill all, the Lord will know his own. History records that blood flowed like water as everyone in the city was brutally murdered. No one was spared. Even those who sought refuge in the church were cut down. The population of the city at the time was around 15,000, but on that fateful day, historians estimate that around 60,000 people were here, as people from the neighboring villages and towns had come here seeking refuge. After the killing, before they left, they set fire to the city, burning everything to the ground. Not one house was left standing. Not one person was left alive. Other towns and cities in the area would fall as well, suffering the same gruesome fate. Even though they were not a race of people, but rather a group who shared the same faith, the destruction and systematic killing has been compared in some circles to genocide. The prestige of the papacy suffered greatly during this time as news of the slaughter spread throughout Europe. The Albigensians were not totally wiped out though, and small pockets of them did remain over the centuries. Perhaps most tragic was how the propagators linked divine salvation with murder, a dangerous combination then and still today. We should never allow religious extremism to take away freedom of worship. We must never impose our beliefs on others, nor allow others to impose their beliefs on us. No matter how true one thinks they are, no one has the right to force their beliefs on anyone else. One thing that God has given to us is the freedom of choice, the freedom to love God in return for the love that He has given to us. May we be gracious in how we share our faith and our beliefs, giving other people the room to make their own decisions as they are led individually.
And finally, for today's program, let's look to David Trim for a look at Adventist history.
This week, see how the Adventist message made its way to the Hawkeye State in the United States.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. On April 23, 1856, early Adventist leader Joseph Bates, who you see here, arrived in the small settlement of Pony Hollow in the U.S. state of Iowa. There was then just one Seventh-day Sabbatarian Adventist in Iowa, a man called Alvarez Pierce, a former Millerite who had moved to the state. But at Pierce's encouragement, Bates decided to evangelize in Iowa. Over the course of this week, 161 years ago, Bates gave a series of lectures on the Second Advent, the Seventh-day Sabbath, and the third angel's message. This was the first Sabbatarian Adventist preaching in Iowa, but within 10 years there were 390 Seventh-day Adventists in the state, the second largest membership of any U.S. state at that time after Michigan. Today, Iowa is part of the Iowa-Missouri Conference with around 12,000 Seventh-day Adventists, all of them spiritual descendants of Pierce and Bates. On April 24 in 1974, Haik Salakian died in the Iranian capital, Tehran. Salakian has his own unique place in Adventist history, for in 1922 he was ordained as elder of the Tabriz Church in northern Iran by Frank Oster, the pioneer Adventist missionary to the country. Haik Salakian was the first Iranian to serve as an Adventist elder and the first to be ordained in any capacity. He served as an elder in various local churches in different parts of Iran for the next 52 years before his death in Tehran. And that was This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us your feedback and tell us how your church is making a difference in its community.
Be sure to capture plenty of video footage and photos, and then write up a summary of the event's important details. And feel free to send full video reports as well.
You can reach us by sending an email to annvideo11@gmail.com.
Now, before we say goodbye, here's a passage of good news from the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 29, verse 11.
That's right. The passage says, "Yours, O Lord, is the greatness, the power, the glory, the victory, and the majesty. Everything in the heavens and on earth is yours, O Lord, and this is your kingdom. We adore you as the one who is over all things."
Amen. That's our program for this week. Remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.